Good morning, St. Louis, and welcome into the Randy Karraker Show featuring Brooke Grimsley and presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Unfortunately, neither of those people in that beautiful graphic down below me are actually here. Randy Karraker wrapping up a family vacation. Brooke Grimsley, of course, taking care of her wonderful family on maternity leave. I'm Matthew Rocchio. That's Joe Roderick, and we will be taking you up to just past 11 o'clock this morning because we started a little bit late, and we're going to be talking a lot about, well, whatever the hell that was in Chicago this past weekend, Joe.
By the way, yeah. So this is how far down the depth chart we are. That we've been doing this for over 100 days now, and this is my first time sitting in the big chair.
Joe debuts. I completely didn't realize that. Joe's debut on the Randy Karraker Show.
I have I have popped in from time to time.
You've been starting me for the last 2 months. That was pretty obvious already.
This is how far down. This is the availability coming off a holiday weekend that I looked at the options and had to schedule myself for the first time. I've done a good job of avoiding this for the time.
Well, you do such incredible work, Joe. Obviously,
it's a long form show. I like,
yes.
But this weekend though, I got to tell you, Friday I did the Cardinal postgame. So I did 365 and I did the postgame show on Friday on the 4th, and for as shitty of a game as that was on Friday, and then again on Sunday,
was definitely.
I gotta say I loved hosting the post game show. I know you kind of went through this on Thursday on Wednesday night with more of a therapy session of sorts after the game, but that's pretty much what it was, a therapy session of fans just getting into it. And if you could see our comment section, or if you're watching on YouTube right now and you are going through and looking at all of the comments that are already being put out there, like that's what this is right now. It is just angry fans.
Yeah, and let's hit a couple pieces of business there. Of course, Joe, usually working behind the scenes and doing a lot of Cardinals stuff here on STL Sports Central, making his debut here on the Randy Karraker Show. And of course, he does all the incredible work getting things going here on STL Sports Central. So to reward him for that work, make sure you hit the like and share button, subscribe right now to the YouTube, hit the bell button so you're always going to know when we're going live, which is every morning at 10 a.m. for the Randy Karraker Show. But also, whenever there's a live event in St. Louis, whenever there's breaking news with the St. Louis sports team, we're going live right here on STL Sports Central's YouTube page. And so you need to know about that. So make sure you hit the bell button. Also, make sure to check out stlsportscentral.com. And there's a bunch of you I don't have to tell, but there are a few of you who I do have to remind, jump into the comments section. There's a lot of you already in there. We're going to be going through a lot of comments today because you guys are participating. As long as you want to push the show that way, we will respond to your comments today. And obviously, pretty much everything I have to our left is Cardinals related because it was a bad weekend. 2 out of 3 losses. In both those losses, they were terrible. The game was out of hand extremely early. You have Mikolas getting shellacked and then taking the brunt of it for the entire game to save the bullpen. And in complete opposite case, as soon as Fedde showed any bit of insecurity, they yanked him and went straight to the bullpen and tried to salvage the game. It obviously didn't work, but either way, 2 very different situations on Friday and Sunday. But the bottom line is the Cardinals are now staring at the need to finally replace. I think they cannot look away from the need to replace 40% of the rotation.
Yeah. And just quick, and this is something I want to throw this up on the screen because I want to get back into it later on. Graham just chiming in here saying, give Bloom deadline control. That's something I do want to get back into this later on as the show goes on in kind of response to what the Nationals did yesterday with firing Rizzo and Mike Rizzo and Dave Martinez. So I want to kind of circle back to that later on in the show. But yeah, what you were saying, I mean, just kind of looking at where this team is right now and kind of looking at what they have at the moment. It was abundant. Like as much as I would have loved to go in and sweep the Cubs this weekend, I feel like what happened this weekend is one of those, it's like a sacrifice of sorts. You needed that to happen this weekend to show what this team really is and where this team needs to go.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking too. The Cardinals needed to have their hand forced in either a greatly positive or a greatly negative way. Michael McGreevy in that spot start needed to come out and absolutely shove for 7 innings, and go like full Mike Maddox on it for them to say, you know what, it doesn't matter if we're still getting quality starts for Mikolas. We got to pull the trigger on this one. Or to the other side, something negative has to happen, and it did. And I think the really crappy part is that both Mikolas and Fedde, the dam broke on them in the same weekend, because McGreevy for Mikolas makes a lot of sense. That's pretty easy. But then obviously they have no confidence in Fedde. We know before the game even starts that he has the short leash. Yeah. The leash then gets yanked and tugged on pretty quickly, and now you have a situation where you have to replace 2 of your rotation pitchers. I would guess with the way he's been pitching and obviously his profile that Steven Matz will then take over for Fedde. But then that really puts a strain on the bullpen. And I got it up over on the screen. Is Graceffo the move? Like, or do we see other bullpen help come in before the deadline or at the deadline because of these moves you now have to make in the starting rotation? They got a lot of questions to answer.
Yeah, they do. And I think for as bad as that ESPN broadcast was yesterday, for a number of reasons, it was a rough listen for that. I mean, the game itself was bad, but the crew that was working didn't do it any favors. They talked a lot in that about the Cardinals, where they were in spring training, where they were today. And they talked about the expectations of this season, where it went from, okay, this is going to be a runway, a rebuild type season, to where, we're in the playoff race, where we have a shot at a wild card. We probably need to take advantage of that. So they did a good job of, I guess you could say, respecting the Cardinals in referring to that. They took time, the time they spent away from praising the Cubs with every little thing they did yesterday. My God. But they also, I will say this, when they did the in-game interview with Ollie, and that, I can't imagine Ollie was a fan of doing that in the moment that he did. I think it was 7-0 at the time.
Mason went on Sunday for that long inning being mic'd up for that whole thing.
I mean, at the time, it was a
close game.
Yeah, it was a close game when he started the inning. It just all fell apart. But Ollie, it was afterwards, and Ollie on national TV in the middle of a game, coming out and saying, "Yeah, we need to reevaluate. It needs the role of Fedde and what he's going to do." There needs to be a reevaluation of that. And then and maybe you could have said at the moment, hey, it was emotions at the moment. He was pissed. He was, disappointed with that. Reading all of the comments from John Denton, the Katie Woos after the game, he said the exact same thing after the game, where, hey, we need to kind of look at what's going on. He's not getting the job done. The pitches he's throwing, it's not happening. We're going to take a look at, who needs to be in this rotation now, or who needs to do anything moving forward.
Sean of St. Loserville, can we finally speak critical of this team with zero fluff? We need media that truly speaks on behalf of fans. I'm just going to go ahead and put my hand up. It's not going to be me. I don't want to speak for y'all. I'm sorry. I don't want to. First of all, I don't want to speak for other people. I definitely don't want to speak for fans, though. I love fans, but they are passionate, and they are a lot of times devoid of long-term logic. And they don't like to look things up on the baseball reference page before they claim things. And so I'm just not going to speak on behalf of the fans. I'm sorry, guys.
No, and as you look at it and you see the people commenting, I miss winning, I miss this, I miss that. Again, this is still a team that is over 500 right now. And as of today,
so you're cool with mediocrity?
As of this moment, they are 1 game back of the Padres and the Giants for that 3rd wild card spot. So for as bad of a week as it has been, for getting shut out by the Pirates, who, by the way, went to Seattle this weekend and got shut out.
Oh, Jesus.
All 3, they became, I think it was the first team ever that they 3 straight shutouts in a game, followed by 3 getting shut out 3 straight games. That's rough goings for the Pirates after they were talked about being a team maybe on the rise. But you do all of that and you are still just 1 game back of it. And you have the Nationals coming in right now. Who knows what that's going to look like coming into this week. And then the Braves, who have been struggling all season long, 39-50 right now, to end the first half of the season. So again, if they're going to say it, if Mo's going to say it, if Ollie's going to sit there and say they're going to reevaluate what this rotation looks like, I'm more than willing to give them that benefit of doubt. Now, if you're going to go out there and if you have, I goes right now, I think Palante starting tomorrow, and then Palante would be the starter on Sunday. Angers me that Gray's not getting those two.
Yeah,
starts.
I was about to say we're getting some comments about that too. And Gray not pitching against the Cubs
that's fine.
Egregious.
It's whatever.
Right.
But I'm more upset that Gray's not pitching tomorrow and then Sunday before you go into the All-Star break.
Yeah.
If Fedde and Mikolas start this week, then I think fans have all the reason in the world to be upset with that. I know that McGreevy got hit yesterday in Memphis. He got hit hard yesterday in Memphis. I think he's 8-2 on the season in Memphis this year. So he's been really good down in Memphis more often than whatever happened yesterday. And that happens.
Yes.
And that is what it is sometimes with that. So I guess if he started on Sunday, McGreevy's got to be starting for you one of those games against the Braves this weekend.
I would agree. Eric Cleveland, time to just let loose some dead weight. Let Fedde and Miles go. Replace with McGreevy and Roby. Get Hampson off this roster. Pai has become a liability behind the plate as well. Time for changes. This is kind of what I was just talking about, Eric, because I personally think that the people who run the reference pages should get like the Presidential Medal of Freedom every year because of what they do for us. And because they provide these incredible free resources for us, I can go check Tekoa Roby, and I can see that, yes, while he has a 2.49 ERA and AA this year in the 5 games where he got brought up to AAA, he had a 5 ERA. So, no, I don't think Tekoa Roby should be brought up and pitch Major League Baseball games for the Cardinals right now because clearly he's got some things to work on.
Hampson's only on this roster right now due to all of the other injuries at the moment. That's because you are without Walker right now, because Herrera's hurt. That's the only reason why Garrett Hampson's on this roster. The second Walker comes back, Hampson, I don't think is going down to AAA. I think Hampson's getting DFA'd. I do not expect him to be on this roster once it's healthy. I will say, as you kind of look at things, is there a reason like Michael Ciani can't take that spot? Because right now, give me a reason why. Or right now I kind of look at it as Michael Ciani, I think, provides more value to this team than Lars Nootbaar does.
Yeah, I would say that's fair.
With Lars Nootbaar right now, when they moved him out of the leadoff spot down to 5th, 6th in the order, he was hitting 223.
He has an 800.
He's down to 224 right now.
Yes, he has. So he's still getting on base. He's an 800.
Is he? Because the game I watched yesterday completely looked overmatched in every single at bat.
That's fair. That's fair.
And fumbled the ball out in the outfield.
That was bad
in the first inning.
That's a good point.
Before almost colliding with Hampson on the play before that. So the defense, nothing stellar is happening out there defensively. And outside the little run that he went on to take the team lead in home runs, I'm sitting here looking at what is he providing you at the moment. So when Walker does come back, I need to see a whole lot less of Lars Nootbaar in the lineup. I need to see Gorman keep those at-bats and start at second, Donovan in left, and Burley or Walker DHing in that moment. That's one guy that needs to lose a significant amount of playing time when this team gets healthy is Lars Nootbaar, especially when Herrera comes back too. When you get Herrera back and Walker back, Lars Nootbaar is the odd man out. I mean, he goes from being 9th or 10th guy on this roster down to 11th, maybe 12th.
Again,
like maybe he's a defensive replacement for Walker or Burleson if they're in right field that game.
If you were trying to win games, can you rationalize taking out? I know Lars Nootbaar is struggling, but still, can you rationalize a guy hitting with an 800 OPS in the stretch since you moved down the lineup? Can you rationalize putting him in for what Jordan Walker was giving you the last time you put him in?
Walker was hitting the ball hard. Walker was hitting the ball hard before he got
the
hurt.
May injury.
Yeah,
but then he came. But we haven't seen him hit the ball well in any of his rehabs.
I'm willing to give him more of a shot than I have with Nootbaar. Has been given this since spring training. Nootbaar has been healthy and has been given these opportunities and continues to not produce.
I think that's fair. I don't see them pulling the trigger on that. But just because, listen, I understand the aspect of he looked outmatched, and he's had games like that before, but it's just in the totality, since they moved him down, he has he has righted the ship when it comes to his on-base percentage and how he's hitting the ball. But, yeah, you're right. He's whiffing him a little bit more. I think the strikeout percentage wasn't good in the last week or two before they sent him down. It's probably still pretty bad overall. So you're not wrong. I don't know if that one is the spot that's going to get moved or needs to be highlighted. To your point, and I put this over there on the scroll, the offense also wasn't better. Yes, you had the game in the middle where you went against a bullpen start for the Cubs and you were able to hit them. But against the two Cubs starters in that series, they batted 111. They went like 4 for 36 by my count against the two starters on Friday and Sunday. So to your point, there is still an issue. As much as the pitching's a problem, the offense now has been bad for what, 3 weeks now?
And all of this surrounds Ivan Herrera getting hurt. Like all of this happened. Again, we saw this in April too. We saw this when Ivan Herrera got hurt the first time. The offense struggled. It is clear as day how important Ivan Herrera is to the offense this year and how key of a part he's going to be in, I would hope, years to come with how well he started hitting and what they thought of him. What I'm wondering too with all of this, because they are struggling so much against left-handed starters right now and lefties in general, and they don't have the roster to put a good lineup out there against a lefty. You have too many liabilities against lefties. When you have, Umpire, Gorman, like you have to start them. I would love to see Luken Baker get called up again. And just even if it's for the next week, even if it's if Jordan Walker's not ready yet, if you don't think that he's ready to come back until maybe after the All-Star break, if Ivan Herrera is not ready to come back until after the All-Star break, why not give Luken Baker a run these next 6 games and just see, hey, have you figured it out yet? Because all we need you to do there is come in there and hit whatever 5th, 6th, especially with Arenado. If you're not sure what's going on with him, we're just going to put this big right-handed bat in the lineup, and we just want you to go out there and mash.
But to your point, that's going to require benching Umpire because you have to then put Gorman at second base, Donovan at left field.
Okay,
and that requires benching Umpire.
Okay,
and I'm okay. And listen, I'm with you on that one 100% and going up against left-handed pitching. That there's no reason not to pull that trigger in a specific lefty-righty situation like that. I can't think of one for the Cardinals.
I think I sent you the note on it the other day or last night when it came to Umpire. And one multi-hit game in the last month now. But they've been starting every single day, and there hasn't been one game where your offense has done.
But I think he only has like 5 or 6 0-hit games in the month too.
I need more. If you're batting 5th, I need more than just a single.
That's fair.
3 times a week.
That's completely fair. He has always been and always should be a 7, 8, 9 hitter in a DH roster, because the entire reason why Lars Nootbaar works is that he's a very valuable player for the money he makes. But if you get rid of, if the value lowers and you have to play him higher than what a $3 million player should be playing at in your lineup, then yes, it's going to be outsized and he's going to look like he's not a valuable player anymore. The point is that he gets good numbers for a $3 million player. But to your point, $3 million player can't be a person who's getting time inside the middle of your roster unless he's a much younger, much higher potential star.
This from official Baker lacks versatility.
It doesn't matter.
What does Herrera give you? Herrera is with 2 leg injuries right now. Herrera is a DH.
Yeah,
he is a Luken Baker.
He was that before the leg injuries, but
Luken Baker can play first base.
That's true.
I don't think Ivan Herrera can play first base. Now, maybe you spend the all offseason having him work with John Jay and Willie McGee and others on maybe learning how to play the outfield somewhere. I don't know. Or maybe you just make him a DH.
Wow, you guys are killing it in the chat today. I mean, absolutely. Dave Rowland, though, says we're not killing it. You guys are terrible, always bootlicking the Cardinals. Sure. The one I will.
I'm calling for multiple people to get to be replaced on this team. I don't know what boots I am licking because so far on this show in the first 20 minutes, I have called for no more starts from Miles Mikolas, no more starts from Eric Fedde, and I want to see Lars Nootbaar move to a bench role. So, and all I've also done is point out the fact that the Cardinals are 1 game back of the 3rd wild card right now in the National League.
All these facts make you sound pretty wimpy.
Please tell me what boots I am licking at the moment, because all I'm doing is asking for guys to be replaced and telling you where they are in the standings.
Facts are part of the establishment, Joe.
I didn't say Luke and Baker in the outfield. I was talking about Ivan Herrera in the outfield. That was who. I've seen Luke and Baker run the bases. I don't want him anywhere near the outfield grass. Okay, I just want to make that very clear.
Graham, the mentality of this team should still push in October is why the team has been mediocre for so long. Bite the bullet, sell, and rebuild instead of hole patching. Okay, so here's the
sell
thing.
Who though? Like, this is, if you trade, you want to say trade Helsley?
Okay,
I'm fine with that.
Well,
as of right now, I'm fine with that.
Hold on a second. Wait a second. Now, let's hold on a moment, because and I want to comment on this because we're getting a lot of people saying that we're being too positive about a bad team. When I was sitting here saying trade everyone in early May, I would be getting stink eye looks from you and Randy Karraker and Brendan Schaefer because they were winning and they weren't going to make those trades. But I was still saying, doesn't it make sense, though, to still trade from a position of strength while you have these pitchers with value? But because pitchers can lose value, especially relief pitchers can lose value very quickly. And you would give me stink eyes and call me negative Nancy. And so my point is there was a point where trading players was viable because they had value. It was the offseason, and honestly, I know people don't trade for people in April, but my point was always in April was, why did you not pull the trigger in the offseason? Why did you not pull the trigger in last season's deadline for some of these players? Because now we're looking at the situation of why you pull the trigger then, because players lose value. And that's why I think it's fair to pull up Graham's statement, because I was getting crucified by you when I was trying to sell people earlier on.
My views on trading Ryan Helsley have changed.
Okay.
They have changed. So I think that I was probably in line with the organization who went into spring training thinking, hey, you know what? We're going to surprise people and we are going to have a chance at competing, which they have done, which they are still doing. We can sit here and talk about the results of the weekend. When I say that the team is competing, what I am talking about is they are right now in a playoff push. Like, they are in a playoff spot right now. They can go out there and sweep the Nationals this week at Busch, which is very doable.
Very viable.
I haven't seen if Mackenzie Gore's pitching or not at any games in this series, but you could go out there and sweep the Nationals and probably be right there in that 3rd place spot in the wild card. That is one. This is not years ago when you're like, we need an 8-game win streak, a 20-game win streak, and we're right back in this. No, you just need to have a good week, a good homestand, and you are there in a actual playoff position. Not you can see it. You're there. You're right there, 1 game back. But I also look at what they have accomplished this year, and I kind of look at it and go, okay, Helsley's tradable in this. Like, for everything they've accomplished this season, for all of the wins that they have had, and the performance of Ryan Helsley, that's a guy that I kind of look at and I go, all right, if they trade him, how many wins do they lose? How many wins do they, where do they suffer?
Yeah.
If that's the case, I think would be,
From the YouTube, and if you are watching us right now, or excuse me, from the Facebook, I should say, and if you're watching us in Facebook, you can jump over to the YouTube right now, because at around 10:30 or so, we will be switching off the Facebook stream and going exclusively on YouTube for the rest of the show. But I wanted to get Ronnie Frizzle's chat in here. By the way, Ronnie, say hello to your hippie sister, Miss. She got me through my childhood. He says, I say build for the future. Struggling for the wild card is not enough for this fan. I expect more than that.
That's bullshit. That's what it is. I said this on Friday.
Did you not?
That's not.
Did you not like my Magic School Bus joke?
I rolled my eyes.
Damn you! That was fantastic. Get out of here.
You are, again, this is the same thing. I think I went off on this last week with Brendan. I think I went on it with Stefan. If you are sitting here and telling me that if the Cardinals are hosting a playoff game in October, you won't take off work, you won't look at your bank account and look if you can afford tickets to that, you won't be locked in front of your TV living and dying on every pitch, that is ridiculous. Playoffs are playoffs. Now, baseball has allowed us to have 6 teams in each division now. Is it watered down? Sure. But you're going to sit here and tell me that you wouldn't be thrilled if this team was in the playoffs. That's BS.
And especially, you have to have the rationale of saying you expect more than that as a fan. But you have to have the rationale of, if you were Ali Marmol and you were managing a baseball team, you would not be okay with your ownership saying, I don't really want you to make the playoffs this year. You would say, nah, we're going to win the game. We're going to win every game we possibly can with the roster you've given me. And I'm going to go. And if we have a chance to go to the playoffs, I want to make the playoffs. I want to get into the tournament. I understand that you as a fan are in the new age mindset of build championship rosters and don't go in on seasons where you're not a championship roster. But you also have to be rational and logical and understand that the people who are getting paid a lot of money and who are in this business because of their competitive factor, they don't think that way. They still think, I just want to get in the tournament. And the tournament's bigger now in baseball. And so you have more teams than ever that say, I just want to get in. There are some GMs who I think, because of their ability to think longer haul, are okay with that mindset. But you're not going to get it from managers, because they didn't get to be Major League Baseball managers from ever having any mindset other than kill, win as much as I can. That's why they're here.
Sean Loserville says playoffs without Helsley is already over. Well, the last time they were in the playoffs, they had Helsley and he blew a save to make them 2 and done in that. And that's the thing. Build on top. If they'll lose 2 of the first, I don't care. If they're there, if they are playing in October, that's all I care. That you lose the first 2, okay, so be it. You know what? There's gonna be 4 series, and 3 more teams in baseball are gonna lose their first 2 and be out of it too. But they're in the game. They're in the playoffs. They're in the show, and they have an opportunity. And that's what I am looking at right now for this season.
Richard Comis also on the Facebook. Make sure to jump over on the YouTube if you're watching us over on Facebook, but we love you getting into the chat. Is it just me, or do we have some of the worst defensive catches in baseball? I don't know if I'm spoiled from Yachty, but we have far too many catchable and blockable wild pitches. I hate the new catching positions. Well, I'm going to tell you 2 things. One, by every single statistic that we've seen, the knee down is a better catching position. I know Joe hates it too, but
so much.
But you agree, every stat's telling us that it is better overall for the game.
I do think that we will see another when the ABS
that's fair
system comes in. I think you will start seeing another different approach to
catching. That's fair. But I will say, but I did want to bring this into another conversation I saw a lot, which is the play Pedro Paez because his defense and his ability to manage the staff. That's kind of on, the strings are breaking on that argument. And after the homer that he hit, and just the fact that it doesn't seem like Paez's defense is to the level we thought it was, a lot of people really just want to see Pozo going forward.
Yeah, and Pozo, his offense in spurts has been great, and you have now an all-time highlight of him homering.
That was incredible.
Wrigley. By the way, there are so many highlights out there of Cardinal players hitting big-time home runs at Wrigley Field. All kinds of highlights of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are there any highlights of Cubs players hitting home runs at Busch to that magnitude?
That's a really good point. I can't think of any right now. I mean, because you have the back-to-back home runs in 19 that pretty much ended the dynasty that they were building. Or 16, sorry, not 19. Or it would have been 19. But anyhow, it was, I can't think of any.
Right.
One of my best Cardinals memories is Yachty hitting a bottom of the ninth inning home run in Wrigley, the only Wrigley game I've ever been to.
Was that the Paul DeYoung and Yachty back to back? The Paul DeYoung
home
run that
it was
was
2013. It was 2013. Yeah, 2013. I think it might have been.
They hit. You had the Albert home run that
I don't remember.
There was a Sotaguchi home run somewhere in there.
Yes,
that
there
was
is.
a big home
That's a really
run
good point.
for that. Yeah, there were many of those. I don't recall any big time home runs the Cubs players hit at Busch at all. That's not something that reminds me. By the way, the chat is finally coming around now to the ESPN coverage. From yesterday. That was bad last night. PCA makes a simple running catch in the first inning, and Karl Ravech, I think, wanted to go out there and personally hand him a Gold Glove and name him that in that moment. I think they want at one point. There was who's the third baseman, Matt Shaw.
Yeah,
big one hopper, grabs it, throws to first.
What a play!
It was. Oh my God! It was the range on him. And 0% chance to catch. I mean, Victor Scott is PCA makes
0% chance to catch that ball.
He made it. He made it.
I don't know why.
Every time PCA, oh, here comes a big home run from PCA. Oh, he didn't. Oh, Seiya Suzuki, him too. Like it was every single batter. It was embarrassing to watch for them.
That was I'll be honest. I watch a lot of games on mute nowadays because
I wish I did.
Because I usually am I'm listening to a podcast or watching a video that I'm getting the audio from that, and so I'm trying to double and triple task at all times, and so I really was not listening to the broadcast, but my Twitter was getting hit at one point. Apparently the Cardinals or Cubs player struck out on strike 3 to end the inning, and they didn't top it off like you end an inning. They just didn't realize it was the third out.
There was a play in the second inning. It was Thomas Sajaci's double that he kind of hit a pop up down the line. Kyle Tucker dove to catch it, and they show Thomas Sajaci running into second base, stand up double on the play. And then it was very clear, like they show a replay, the ball very clearly bounced, like hit off of his glove, bounced, and Kyle Tucker ended up with, like, you could not have seen more clear on this replay that the ball had touched the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, oh, we're doing a replay. And the ESPN broadcast the entire time is saying, oh, the Cubs are challenging this, and you're sitting there watching this. You're like, I see the ball right there. Like, the ball is on the ground. Why is this taking so long? Like, it seemed like it took about 10 minutes for this replay to figure out. And then they come back and they say the call's been overturned, the runner will be placed at second, the ball hit the ground. And then you realize the umpire, the first base umpire, initially called it a catch in right field, and it was the Cardinals that had to challenge, and they had to put Sajaci on. But ESPN had no clue that it was the Cardinals that challenged or the first base umpire had initially called it a catch. To then, later in the game, the first base umpire on the Ian Happ play, where they called Ian Happ out of the baseline, which that was a bad hilarious call too. Yeah. That was a bad call.
Mason Wynn's response to that when they finally they did like 30 seconds of reaction. They finally get back to Mason Wynn. Mason Wynn's like, no, I'd be pissed too. That happened to me when we played the Dodgers. And he's like, I was hopping mad they called me out.
Yeah, and I'm saying, I'm like, 3 feet, whatever. Like, that was there was nothing egregious about him going out of the baseline to avoid the tag. And people are, oh, the first base umpire, he's got it in. Oh, he on the Cardinal payroll. I'm like, 2 innings ago, he called a ball that clearly hit the ground a catch out in right field for the Cubs. So let's calm it down here. But yeah, the foul tip one was a play. I can't remember who was up at the time, but you could hear it on the broadcast. Like, you could hear it tip, and Pages catches the ball.
The magic of the miking up the ground of the baseball.
And the Pages turns around and shows it to the umpire, and the umpire clearly puts his hands up and then calls a 2-2 count for that. And it was so weird because a pitch later was strike 3. Everybody's walking off the field and the broadcast is just silent. And they're like, everybody's walking off the field. We had strike 2. I'm like, what are you guys watching here on this broadcast that you didn't see that the umpire called it. It's like it was. Yeah,
got a lot of chats in here not liking the ESPN. Somebody also pointed out, thank God that ESPN's done with Major League Baseball after this year. Here's the thing. I'm not saying this is likely, but MLB has still not found somebody to take over that deal. And apparently I saw a report last week that because this is business, and in business, you can't stay mad about personal stuff long. So apparently, and this article is all about how apparently Major League Baseball is already kind of willing to get over the issues they had with ESPN.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, because you can't find anybody else to buy your deal. And so now you're going back to the one other person that always has money for live deals.
Yeah.
And so apparently ESPN might be back in the running to re-up with ESPN or with baseball because no one else is taking the deal.
And I think you're going to realize too, ESPN will notice that once playoffs are done, like once hockey and basketball playoffs are over with in June, that they're going from June to September. You're going almost all of June, July, August with nothing. And you need to have some sort of live sports on, and that's baseball.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're probably realizing too, as they sit there, and I'm sure they can. I mean, they're going to realize maybe after this year, they're not going to have LeBron to talk about anymore. And you can only talk Cowboys. I mean, they try to talk it, but they can only talk Cowboys for so much.
Your mama said, I thought it was weird they never reported what LeBron was doing during the game. We're getting some other Cardinals chats as we dive into the conversation. Brandon Smotherman says, Joe Roderick is out here crying about the umpires in an 11-0 loss. I'm embarrassed for him. Well, yay. Brandon's out there thinking about you, Joe. How about that? It's kind of like when somebody does a prayer circle for you and you're like, okay, hey, thanks for doing that for me.
The plays that I'm complaining about, though, it was not 11-0. I think it was like 3-0 at the time. So it was a much more reasonable game at the moment.
That's a fair point. We also had somebody earlier. I'm having trouble finding it. Where we're talking about the pitching. They said we need to see Gordon Graceffo get called up today. Well, so it's an off day today, and right, they're off today, right?
They're off today.
Yeah, they're off today, and tomorrow is actually 15 days. Since Gordon Graceffo was optioned down. So it makes sense that we'll see Gordon Graceffo move tomorrow because that's when the 15-day number hits, and that's also when the Cardinals play again. So to your point, I do think I would expect to see Graceffo because you got to replace Matz, who I think is going to take over a spot in the starting lineup personally.
I would think so. Yeah, we'll see. We won't know. I can't imagine there's going to be any news out of Cardinal camp today regarding anything, but I would think tomorrow, probably around 2:00, 3:00 in the afternoon, we might have an idea of what the rotation will look like the rest of the week. It's going to be Palante on Tuesday, Sonny Gray on Wednesday. And as of right now, if you look at it, it still says Miles Mikolas on Thursday. And I don't see any way that any of us could justify that taking place this week.
You can't. I mean, and listen, it sounds kind of crazy that the leash was shorter for Fedde than Mikolas, but it was. And
I think, and they kind of said, I mean, if you watch during the broadcast, they interviewed Ollie during the broadcast, and he said, we're trying to be set up for Sunday. So going into the game, they kind of looked at it as, okay, we have no confidence in Fedde on Sunday, so we need to make sure we have all arms on deck for Sunday's game. So we need to have Mikolas needs to go out here and wear it, which resulted in him setting a record for most home runs allowed.
Yeah, that's that would make sense. It's a sorry, I'm there's so many chats. Matt Booth, I wish we would have gotten to this in the moment. 10:31 he sent this in. I think this was when we were talking about why Ollie and company want to win games, and you were saying why you as fans do you want to be in the playoffs? Matt Booth says, okay, Bill DeWitt, dumb take. I really wish we got paid by the Cardinals to say these things. God,
right?
it would make the job so much more lucrative.
Cardinals have no starter listed on July 11th, by the way. That's Friday's game. So they have no starter there. That would be
that should have been Mikolas,
that
right?
would be Libator. Mikolas is listed for the 10th on Thursday against the Nationals. So Libator is not listed on Friday as of this moment, according to MLB.
Lateralist says Joe hates Newt. Baker is not better than Newt Bar. Give me one example of Baker helping this team. I think Joe's point is that he can hit left-handed pitching.
That's what it is. It's 100% the left-handed pitching. I'm not sitting. What I'm talking about when it comes to Luke and Baker being called up. It's these struggles that are happening right now when you face a lefty, that when you don't have Ivan Herrera in there in the middle of the order, when you don't have Jordan Walker as an option to play right field in those days. And right now with Nolan Arenado has missed a handful of games here lately with various injuries. You're looking at a very left-handed heavy lineup where you're facing a lefty, the caliber of Matthew Boyd, and you're going out there and starting 4 lefties in the game. That's something that can't happen. Or I guess yesterday they only started 3 because they went out there and they took a risk and they started Pozo at DH, which is something. I mean, they had all catchers on deck, and that's something I don't think we saw at all when it was Pages and Herrera. I don't think we saw Herrera DH, Pages catch, Contreras in the field. I don't think we saw that at all at any point at the beginning of the year before Herrera's injury. So they went out there and they took a risk by starting Pozo yesterday as a right-handed DH to limit how many lefties they had in the lineup. But I think every other time you've seen it, they have gone out there with 4 lefties right now, which is not something they can handle at the moment.
Nope.
So that's why I bring up Luke and Baker as an option.
I think that makes a ton of sense. Like, it's some people don't want to play the lefty righty thing. If it gives you a little bit of an advantage right now, the offense needs every possible hit they can get. I say roll with it. You mama, can we just pitch Mikolas and Fedde in the same game every time the 5 in the rotation comes up? You just have them split the 9 innings no matter what. Save the bullpen. We can only lose once instead of twice. I really like this idea.
It's a good strategy.
This is not bad at all. You really want to eat innings. We can eat 9 every single 5 games. We can guarantee we eat 9. We only lose that one game. That is 100% some, like, I'm going to stop punting on 4th down kind of decision making that I'm 100% here for. Joe Boak, who has been active in the chat, but we haven't been able to get to any of his, so I wanted to get to this one. Walker or Gorman, at least one should have panned out. Nope, the Cards' luck. Even Davis, they drafted a couple years ago, not great numbers, yet the Cubs trade for PCA, and it somehow works out. You are really already giving up on 3 hitters very early in their career, my guy. My God.
And from what we have seen out of PCA, it's one of those deals where he just seems like the total package right now.
Yeah, kind of. But like, how high was he in the Mets system that they traded? That he was the.
Was he a 1st-round pick though?
Was he a 1st-round pick?
I thought he was.
Okay, that makes sense then.
I want to say he drafted something like.
I'll be honest,
17th overall.
I really don't pay attention to the draft a lot until 19th overall in 2020. So I mean, he had hit the majors. Only took him 3. I mean, then he got traded away. What, in 2022? Was it early 2022 when they traded him away? No, he got traded in 2021. So I mean, he hadn't really even had a lot of time to develop into their system at all yet. So yeah, they hit a home run with that trade, but that's separate from the fact that is Gorman not starting to work out a little bit this year?
So good bat right now.
Are Chase Davis's numbers really that bad?
Walker, I couldn't tell you.
They're that bad?
No,
like. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. But as far as the Walker stuff goes, I mean, he's just a guy. It's just been lucky at this point. I mean, you could say what you want about injuries with him for most of, for here and there, but having appendicitis, that's just bad luck.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the problem, though. I mean, Alex Reyes, Dylan Carlson, a lot of those times it was bad luck.
Right. And from what you've seen, in small doses, but what you've seen out of Herrera this year is one of those where it's okay. He's gotten hurt twice. Figure out how to keep him healthy. And you're talking about Ivan Herrera being up there in most of the offensive categories in all of baseball right now.
Yeah.
And as soon as he came back from the first injury, immediately started mashing again. So I'll put him in that category then of a guy that I'm very much looking forward to seeing, and for his age too, hopefully for years to come.
Well, Lex Luthor just told us that Norman Powell got traded, so we got to take a break. We got to come back with some reaction. It's a big move, Joe Roderick. I don't think Joe could name a single team that Norman Powell has played on in the NBA. You think you could?
I honestly
have never heard
sat
the name
here and thought that it was maybe a Blues trade or City did something. That is how checked out I am on whoever Norman Powell is.
Thank you, Lex Luthor, for providing us with that little bit of humor. Thank you very much for that one. He's an NBA player.
Okay.
Was
he part of the 7-team trade that happened?
No, he was not.
7 teams. How do you get together?
It's so stupid
with 6 other GMs and you start passing everything around? It's impressive, honestly, to go through all of that and come to an agreement where everybody sits there.
It's actually a big trade,
and all 7 of them are like, okay, hey, good with what we have.
No, it's a 3-team trade. Sorry. That doesn't involve Kevin Love. How about that?
Why are we trading Kevin Love in 2025? Why?
In fairness, Kevin Love is getting sent from Miami to Los Angeles. So I feel like, all in all, not too rough for Kevy Kev. He's got a lot of money in the bank and he's going from Miami to LA. I just can't believe that Lex Luthor bringing up Norman Powell and getting that reaction from you makes me very happy. But you know what?
Yeah. By the way, no, I'm very, so Kevin, Lex Luthor saying Kevin Love part of the trade. But Eric and Cleveland trying to help me out by telling me just to say the Clippers.
That would have worked. That would have got you through. Raptors also would have been an option.
I'm already pissed off at
Norman
the
Powell's,
NBA offseason. I just with whatever the Bulls are
Norman
doing.
Powell's a crazy freakazoid who he's 6'4", but I think his wingspan is 7 feet.
Okay.
So when he stands, his fingertips touch his calves. It's absolutely bananas. But you said 7 was too many, so that's fine. Don't worry. With our friends over at DraftKings, you can just do a pick 6 because 7, you're right, that's too many. That's why DraftKings gives you an option to pick 6. Now, you don't have to pick 6. You can pick anywhere from 2 to 6 in their new game. That is, of course, the DraftKings Pick 6 app. St. Louis sports fans, we're deep into the season, and heck, we're deep into the offseason with the NBA. And if you're like me, you're locked into every pitch, pass, and play, whether it's Cardinals, whether it's City, whether it's just Major League Baseball overall. That's why I've teamed up with DraftKings to bring you Pick 6, the all-new way to play daily fantasy sports. Right now, all new customers who play just $5 will get $50 in bonus picks. That means you're getting 10 extra picks to keep the action going all week long, heck, into the weekend. It's easy to start, fun to follow, and gives you a whole new way to stay connected to the game. Again, just log on to DraftKings Pick 6 app. You're just going to find your stats. Maybe it's a strikeouts thrown number for the pitcher the Cardinals are going against tomorrow, and you want to pick less. Or it's an offensive player the Cardinals are going against tomorrow, and you want to pick more on any offensive stat like hits, runs, and RBIs or home runs. You can go ahead and do that, and you can pick from anywhere between 2 and 6. Don't go to 7 because that's too many. We just figured that out. So between 2 and 6 on DraftKings Pick 6 app, choose your stat more or less, and then win with DraftKings Pick 6. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app today and use code STL Sports. That's STL Sports right there on your screen when you sign up, only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
I want to hit one other quick Cardinals topic before we move on, Joe, and that is Jeff Jones does a wonderful job covering the Cardinals. Talking about the trade deadline, he used some of the Cardinals' verbiage when they look at the deadline, and that is the path this year is similar to last year, which is they will deal from positions of perceived strength to fill other needs. My question for you is,
I have no clue what the perceived
what is the perceived strength? What are you trading from?
Left-handed bats at the moment, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, that'd be the one pot. That'd be like the one spot that could be a perceived strength.
So would that be like trading a Newt Bar somewhere?
Yeah, I guess that could be one.
I mean, we've seen this team. We've seen them. A few years ago when they traded Harrison Bader for Jordan Montgomery.
Earlier in the chat, people were throwing out that Arenado has been hitting the ball very well now for a solid month while playing Gold Glove defense.
So in the offseason, he had the option to be traded to Houston.
Yes.
Who just took a series from the Dodgers. They sweep the Dodgers, and the Dodgers get it yesterday. They swept the Dodgers this weekend. Astros are playing really, really good baseball right now. And I think one of the games, what was it, 18-1 or something like that? 18-1. So, all right, even the Dodgers get blown out too. It's not just the Cardinals that had a rough weekend, and that was at home. That was in LA. So they, Nolan Arenado has a no trade clause.
True.
What has happened recently that he would want to be traded from that? Because the Dodgers,
the team he's on isn't going to make the playoffs.
They're one game back right now.
And the team in the team that he could get traded to is
you don't think the Dodgers
back?
called one time this offseason about Nolan Arenado?
Yeah, but they also just had a third baseman get injured.
I know.
So it changes the conversation.
Like, you're telling me that they haven't had a single time this offseason they looked at acquiring Nolan Arenado this offseason.
I think they have. Yes, you're right.
Okay. And he didn't want to go then. What makes you think that mid-season Nolan Arenado is up for just packing it all up and going out there mid-season right now? He's from everything that we have seen of Nolan Arenado this year, he seems to be all in
committed
on this team.
I mean, pot committed.
In this organization that, and again, the ESPN broadcast brought it up many times. I think these are unfounded claims. I just don't see that happening right now where he's going to be traded. That's where you say sell. Sonny Gray didn't want to get traded. Wilson Contreras didn't want to get traded. All these guys seem to be very committed to this franchise this season.
That's very fair. One last Cardinals point before we move on. Terry McKenna, Ollie should be embarrassed for the lineup he's been putting together. I don't know how you get to that conclusion watching this Cardinals team. These are the players he has. This is the group of players he's being given. What else is he supposed to do with the lineup? What other lineup is he supposed to put out on the field other than the one of the healthiest players he has? How are you not looking at them being I look at them being 5 games above 500 and go, man, Ollie Marmol is one hell of a manager. Like that's I'm not saying that's the correct way to think. I'm saying it's a more rational way to think than how dare he put these lineups out there. They're winning. They're finding a way to. They got through May, tearing teams apart. Yes, with Ivan Herrera and Wilson Contreras hitting the ball, but that was an Ivan Herrera that isn't an established major league hitter coming into this season, and yet they still did it. They're still above 500 with this lineup. I don't know how you're blaming and holding that against Ollie Marmol.
Saying maybe Gray and Contreras will change their mind again. Like you look at how committed Nolan Arenado seems to be in this team. I mean, Wilson Contreras,
God, right?
I mean, he is all in on being a St. Louis Cardinal. And if you think Sonny Gray, it's hard enough to get him to change his like game day routine from one week to the next.
It worked.
You're telling me that's a guy that's going to just up and again move somewhere else. I mean, he's in St. Louis for a reason. I think, again, he's not changing his mind either.
All right, you as we're talking about angry fan bases, your fandom, your deep fandom, your pre-coverage Cardinal fandom, kind of came out
pre-coverage Cardinal fandom.
Pre-Cardinal fandom, or did you like that was your AL club?
I was born and raised on the south side of Chicago.
That's what I'm saying. I know. So
my childhood hero.
Your childhood
was Frank
fandom,
Thomas.
and your childhood hero is Frank Thomas. So you have a connection to the White Sox. And over the weekend, they ESPN also with a little bit of a faux pas that got you just reared up at the mothership.
I was really Bobby Jenks passed away this weekend, a form of stomach cancer at the age of 44, and was down in Portugal where he passed away. And ESPN puts out
you get on me for geography. I'm just saying, all of a sudden
ESPN puts out a tweet, and in the tweet they said Bobby Jenks on the roster for the 2005 World Series winning team.
So the roster. So that means he was like the 13th pitcher, and he didn't see a lot of time that run, right? That's what happened, right? Bobby Jenks, I'm didn't pitch a lot for that team, huh?
Bobby Jenks closed out all 4 games of the World Series where the Cardinals swept the Astros. Bobby Jenks was a 2-time All-Star for the White Sox in his time as a closer there on the South Side. Bobby Jenks was, one of the most important pieces in that. I will tell you that Frank Thomas was on the roster for the 2005 World Series winning
That's
team.
a good point.
Okay. He was Frank Thomas. I guess I don't even think he was on the roster. You could say Frank Thomas was in the dugout for the 2005 World Series winning team. And that was his one and only World Series ring that he got. Bobby Jenks was the closer for that team. And to put it out there that way is so disrespectful to him, his family, and really just the accomplishments the White Sox had that year. And I will tell you this, I tweeted it out over the weekend if you saw it. The night that the White Sox won the 2005 World Series is by far my favorite memory from the 4 years that I was at college at Western Illinois University, because I was friends with a lot of guys that were from the south side of Chicago up there that just happened to meet them and while I was there. And we were out at Two Dogs, a bar up there in Macomb, Illinois, that night, and watching the game from Two Dogs as we watched, went from house to house throughout the entire playoff run.
Is that the famous karaoke bar for
No.
Rams Rams training camps?
No,
Okay.
I had Parkside. Yeah, that was Parkside.
I think while we're here, let's learn a little bit about Macomb. That's all I'm saying. Let's learn a little bit.
But yeah, there was Two Dogs and there was the Forum. They were connected to each other, but on Forum was only open on the weekends. So this was a weeknight, so we had to go to Two Dogs for that to watch that. That was the only night we went out to a bar for any of the playoff games, any of the World Series games, and watching that happen, watching Juan Uribe's amazing catch into the diving into the stands to save that game when they did, and then make the play he did to get the final out of the World Series over the play that he made. Again, one of my favorite memories. And I will tell you this too, Bobby Jenks, so when you shoot something, like you shoot garbage away and you go Kobe, so Bobby Jenks, that became a adjective, verb, what form of language would that be? So when you would play beer pong back then, so this is 2005 2006 when you played beer pong,
exclamatory.
And you would take there'd be one cup left, and instead of trying to make it into the cup, you would just try to knock the cup over to get it out of there. Yeah. You throw it as hard as you can at the cup, and you'd yell Bobby Jenks.
Oh, I didn't know that. I couldn't. Yeah. I use them. I used that move a couple times in college. Although
that big Texan would just come in there and just throw fireball fastballs.
I got really good at
all game long.
I got really good.
So
at that final cup became my specialty.
Yeah. So you would sit there and you would try to throw and knock that cup off, and you would just yell Bobby Jenks at it. That became a thing that would happen too.
This was a guy. This was the last closer cheered on by the current Pope, and we're gonna say he was just on the roster. That tweet is very simple. This is two-time All-Star, World Series champion Bobby Jenks passed away in Portugal today after fighting cancer. Also, Frank Thomas does not have a ring.
That doesn't count. He was on the team.
Now they might give him one.
Yeah.
But according to baseball rules, he only played in 34 games that season, and therefore does not qualify for a ring. To the same point, Adam Wainwright technically does not have a 2011 World Series ring because Adam Wainwright was injured for the entire season.
Do you think,
I know,
for as cheap as the White Sox organization it is perceived right now, do you think that there is any chance in hell that Jerry Reinsdorf did not give Frank Thomas the top level ring that they get, that the players get? There is no chance that happened. I watched Frank Thomas hold the World Series trophy up.
Yes,
as
Frank
the team
Thomas
celebrated. That man
did receive a World Series ring for the 2005 White Sox, even though he was injured and was not rostered in the postseason. The team honored him by having him throw out the ceremonial first pitch during the first game of the ALDS. Yes, so he does have a ring, but according to baseball, he does not have a ring for the same reason that Adam Wainwright only has one.
I guarantee you somewhere in a safe.
Adam Wainwright has a 2013,
Adam Wainwright,
2011 World Series ring. I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. But I just had to point out the fact of the matter, as well. The chat,
the real ones too, not like not the Ben Boyd level rings. Damn, that you might have.
Wow, uncalled for shot at Ben Boyd.
I'm jealous he has.
sometimes I still have to. I still need stuff from Ben Boyd, so don't get me put in a bad spot here, my guy. What the hell are you doing to me? Unbelievable. Another one, Mass Monster 525. Ali Marmol should be embarrassed that he still keeps starting Fedde and Mikolas. I'm fairly confident that if Marmol calls baseball and says I'm making a move to Memphis, they go, are you allowed to do that?
Yeah.
Like I don't think Marmol gets to make the roster moves without a lot of consideration from multiple other people.
100%. Yeah.
Like, come on.
Right. He's starting the guys that he's given right now. And I think the comments that he made last night on the broadcast and then echoed those in post game, talking about the reevaluation. I would imagine that there are conversations that happened well into the night and are happening today of them saying, listen, like, we are in contention for this. We have other arms. We cannot give Fedde a start this week. Probably can't give Miles Mikolas a start this week.
Yeah.
The only way if I'm having to sit here, if I'm having to handicap the two of them right now as to who gets what start this week, because you had mentioned, Matt's probably getting a start. I could see that. I would say, if anything, Mikolas maybe getting a start or an appearance on like Sunday. Either that, or I mean, if you IL him, he's able to come back after that first weekend after the All-Star break.
I thought the Phantom IL wasn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, did you not watch Friday's game? If that's not a tired arm, I don't know what is.
That's very fair. Also, you mentioned something I just gotta know. So you guys played a house rule that Bobby Jenksing the cup was okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. How many? One re-rack? I gotta learn the house rules now of what Joe was playing with in the early 2000s.
I feel like we probably went 2 re-racks.
Okay. You know what? I was gonna let you guys go. You're a Chicago.
I can't remember the re-rack rules.
You can Bobby Jenks. You can
100% Bobby Jenks
the final cup. Cheap move, but multiple
satellite cup.
Multiple re-racks is some weak sauce and
satellite cup. Do you have that?
What's satellite cup?
Satellite cup. If you take too long drinking what was in the cup and
you
throw it into that cup, that game over. That's game over. Yeah,
we call it death cup.
No, satellite cup. It's floating around like a satellite.
It's floating around like a satellite. I like that. But
were we more intelligent and clever in our naming things in Macomb than you guys were in Columbia?
We did. I'm trying to think the other way we named them. The only thing, my big thing was my favorite version ever that I played is I played with a group of people who you could call any shot you wanted during the game, even if it wasn't like there's other ones where it had to be on an island. You could call any shot you wanted, and if you made it, you got balls back.
Okay.
And so there was a point where I was playing probably way too much beer pong with this group of people, but I would open up the game and just be like back right, back left, middle cup, front cup, and like out of the gate, I would just
name multiple cups.
Yeah, as long as you made the shot you directly called.
It's a ridiculous rule.
You could call your shot at any point in the game, and it was so much damn fun. It was the most fun I've ever had playing beer pong, because it was just like literally I'd walk up and just go left corner, right corner, middle cup, front cup, and I'd be halfway through the game with the ball in my hand, and you wouldn't have even gotten to throw yet. It was the best version ever.
No, that's I'm not good with that one.
Oh my god. Sorry, I as soon as I have not played a game. I haven't gone back to my college to tailgate a football game in like 7-8 years. And I really need to start doing it again.
We better go back. There better be some. We're coming 7 weeks from kickoff for college football season. I think less than if you count week 0 and the games that are going to be happening then. So I was at main event in Chesterfield yesterday. It was
that's so much fun
over the weekend.
I'm such a little
those
kid.
Big arcades now,
so
like
fun.
they have a beer pong game.
No, they don't really.
Yes,
that's probably not good.
Yeah, they have a beer pong.
That's probably
game.
Not
I don't think they call it beer pong to the 12-year-olds out there. But yeah, you could sit there and do that. So I played that a little bit yesterday in between my times of dominating at Papa Shot.
Speaking of having a little fun, we're going to close out the show. A little All-Star game talk. Obviously, Brendan Donovan makes it on the list. But while we were in Chicago, that also got the All-Star game conversation going because Suzuki, with over 70 RBI, is not on the All-Star roster. And there are a lot of people wondering, what's the stat? Is this the most RBI we've ever seen of the guy at the All-Star break without making the roster? I'd imagine it's going to be the highest one we've ever seen. Pretty incredible that he's not on the roster, but also congratulations to Brendan Donovan. Really earned it with that first 2 months just coming out of the gate hitting 300.
Yeah, Seiya Suzuki deserves to be an all-star. I do not understand why he is I don't understand how he didn't make it, who he got passed over. I'd have to look at some of the other reserves that were there. But that one's very, very baffling to me why he didn't make it.
I have no idea. Yeah. I wonder if it was just maybe people, because you can't do the whole thing. People aren't paying attention to Chicago.
I mean, yeah, it's you already have Kyle Tucker and Pete Armstrong starting for that. Seiya Suzuki is primarily DHing for that team. Is it a case of just too many DHs? Like you're looking for an actual position for somebody? That was I was surprised by that, but I was going to say he will be. I think he will be in Atlanta next weekend. I think he will be an all-star when it's all said and done. It's one of those where it's so glaring of a miss at the moment that I think he gets in there.
Am I crazy that I was a little bit surprised? I guess I'm just not aware of just how good the depth of pitching is in the National League.
Yeah,
I thought 8-3 with a mid-3 ERA might get Sonny Gray a little bit closer than he was.
I would think so. And that's another one too. I think because you will see pitchers that start on Sunday, they will drop off. Mm-hmm. I do wonder if the Cardinals stick with the rotation they have right now, which has Sonny Gray pitching on Wednesday and not again after that. I could also see Sonny Gray getting added on to that to that once you see the other ones.
I don't want him to get added. I was gonna say this right now. I'm treating Sonny Gray like my team's best hitter that just got an invitation to the Derby. No. Don't screw with anything. Don't ask him to do anything weird. Don't ask him to do anything different. I don't want Sonny Gray in a position where he has to warm up and then go pitch an inning and a third in the All-Star game.
They're only throwing inning. You have so many pitchers right now.
Or he has to, or he pitches two.
But again, if
I don't want it.
If he's playing, I don't want it. If his next start is Wednesday, and you just have him go out there and throw on Tuesday, and then he starts for you on Friday, that's fine. It's a normal throw day for him.
I don't want it.
Let him go out there and represent the team.
No, I'm terrified I'm terrified that the game after that he's going to need 7 jerseys instead of 6.
I think you will see Sonny Gray named an all-star by the time we get there.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see 2 Cardinals there, and Donovan and Sonny Gray. Hopefully,
Big Dumper is in the home run derby, by the way. They Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh.
Oh, okay. I was like, I'm not locked in on Cal Raleigh's nickname. My apologies, everybody.
So right now, I don't think they have the full field yet for the home run derby, but I think they have. Maybe they do. But Ronald Acuna, he is your Braves guy that's in there right now. Cal Raleigh is in there. James Wood is in there. I haven't seen who else has been named so far for that.
Okay, so I have you here. You're a baseball junkie, and you're going to the All-Star game. How many All-Star games have you been to?
This will be 5.
Do you go to the derbies?
Yes, I love the derby. The
so,
derby's my favorite part of it.
Okay, so to that point, as someone who goes to them in person and is obviously loves the derby, do you have a quick presentation for me on how to fix the derby and make it better for consumers and fans back at home who maybe aren't still infatuated with the way you are?
Being there is completely different.
Yes. Okay.
I will say if I were to be home watching it, mm-hmm. I have 2 screens going, and I have Monday Night Raw on one and the Home Run Derby on the other.
Fair.
So that's my whole evening is not just I'm going to sit here and I'm going to watch a bunch of dingers.
All right, fair enough.
It is I'm doing something else while that's also on the TV. So I think that's how you have to go about it when you're there.
I don't think Major League Baseball would like that. Your option for improving their broadcast is people should just watch something else at the same time.
Hey, you know what? If MLB goes to Netflix, then you have the tie-in right there.
That's a good point.
Go watch Raw. It's on our Netflix partner that we have. But I do think that if in person, I will tell you, it even gets long in person.
There you go. Okay, I needed to hear that.
First round, you're watching it and you're locked in, and then. It is. It's a long night, but it is a lot of fun.
Okay.
Until okay, we're ready to go.
Will Rally be your favorite if the field kind of breaks out the way you think it should?
I think he will be. I don't know. Because I think Ellie De La Cruz said he's not going to do it. I think he already turned it down. That would have been one. I would have had a lot of fun watching him. I don't know. I mean, we haven't Pete Alonso. I don't know if he's said one way or the other if he's doing it yet, but he loves doing it.
Yes, he does.
I'd have to see who else is in it right now. But I mean, right now, I think there's only 3 names. James Wood, man, that man, he
swings it.
He's going to put on a show.
Yes, he will.
He might hit 500.
Also, perfect. A good name for a home run derby because you can have a lot of fun with it. Does Berman still do it?
I don't know. Do they kind of dust him off to do that one?
James, he's laying the wood. Something like that. It's too easy.
Yeah.
I hope they still do it with him because, again, I'm not locked into the broadcast. Neither are you because you're actually there in person. Speaking of baseball, Cardinals are off today, but that doesn't mean that we're off here on STL Sports Central because we will be having a Card Central 365. What time? Who's hosting?
After 1 o'clock today, it's Brendan Schaefer and Stephen Carey.
Brendan Schaefer and Stephen Carey. That's going to be a good one. I know that Stephen has been locked in on these Cubs series, and so I'm excited to see what his reaction is after one Cubs series didn't go great, and then the other Cubs series went absolutely terrible. I'm very excited to hear from Stephen and Brendan because I don't know if we have a better group of people who can balance the cynicism and reality with the fact that you have to talk about some positive things. I love the combination of those two. Cards Central 365 is going to be fantastic.
Good luck to them finding positives out of this weekend.
They're not going to sugarcoat it. They're going to talk about the logical things you have to look forward to, which is a Matthew Liberatore start, Sonny Gray, and Andre Palante. The positives of seeing potentially Michael McGreevy full time, and maybe the Cardinals hand being forced and having to give Gordon Graceffo the rest of the season as a long relief arm. There's not a lot of positives when you get shellacked around that, but I wouldn't want 2 better people on Cards Central 365 today to break down just a terrible series and trying to pull any thread on what the Cardinals can do pre-deadline.
No, I agree. Well, at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I don't know what time they're planning on going today.
All right, they'll be going later today here on STL Sports Central. As you can always tell, the easy way to know, we don't know what time, but here's the thing. Just go down there, bottom left corner of your screen, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, and then the big one, hit the bell button. That way, if you're driving around today, you're running some errands, maybe you're at work, and you have time away from your computer, you'll get a little notification that tells you STL Sports Central is going live. Brendan Schaefer and Stephen Carey are about to put a little salve on your Cardinals wounds. That'll be hitting you right on your phone as long as you hit the bell button. Make sure you subscribe to STL Sports Central on YouTube so you know whenever we go live. STL Sports Central and Card Central 365 coming up in a couple hours. This has been the Randy Karraker Show featuring Brooke Grimsley. Without either of those people, Joe, thank you so much for filling in today.
Absolutely.
Randy Karraker will be back tomorrow. He was not sick of the Cardinals after this weekend. He was coming back from some desert golf, his absolute favorite. So Randy Karraker back in studio tomorrow for plenty of Cardinals talk as they get ready to kick off a new series, hopefully this one with some wins. For Joe Roderick, I'm Matthew Rocchio. This has been the Randy Karraker Show featuring Brooke Grimsley, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours on STL Sports Central. Have a great afternoon, St. Louis.